think the pandemic has had an effect on every aspect of people's lives, not only in Rwanda, but in the world, in every country. It's affected everybody. It's affected people's mental health. It's affected their ability to earn a living. It's affected how families interact and relate with each other. So there are so many changes, and some cultural changes, specifically, I think, to Rwanda, where Rwandans are very social people and they enjoy time together. So with the lockdown isolating us from each other, with people having to choose who can attend a wedding or who can attend a funeral, it's very, very difficult for Rwandans. Well, normally the problems that we treat at Icyizere are trauma and addiction, and other mental health problems that maybe are not related to trauma. So depression, anxiety, a lot of different kinds of mental health issues. But specifically, I think there's been a dramatic increase in the number of people with depression, anxiety, and problems with addiction. People who weren't drinking before have started drinking as a way of coping with the situation. And they're worried that, this is not normal for them. So they're seeking help, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, I don't think we have statistics here in Rwanda, so I can only speak global statistics, and especially with reference to the United States. So in the US, researchers have found there's a 40% increase in drinking, and heavy drinkers are increasing. So normally if people would have 1 or 2 drinks a week, they're now drinking every night, 2 to 3 drinks every night. So there's been a dramatic increase. The other finding is that women are drinking more now than before. So women who maybe would have a social drink when they were out with friends or with family, they're now drinking on a more regular basis too, as a way to cope with the situation. That's a difficult question. I think that when the person with COVID is one of the parents, it's really important to reassure the children in the family that the parent's going to be okay. Young kids, because of all of the publicity about COVID and wear a mask and, you can die from COVID, I think children really worry that if they know that mama has COVID, maybe she's going to die, and they really worry about that. So reassuring kids, helping them, use the smartphone for video. So if mom is in the room, kids can video with her. She can read them a bedtime story. They can bring the phone to the dinner table so that mom is kind of included in the family by video. Kids can go outside and wave to her through the window so that, they know she's okay. Especially for young kids, being able to see that she's okay is important. Also making a calendar, like if she's in isolation for 2 weeks, make a calendar that has the days, and then the children can mark off each day so they know, she has 4 days left and she comes out. They need visual, concrete cues to help them deal with it. As bad as it is, it's also a good time for families to start communicating with each other. And because you're stuck with each other. So practicing, active listening with each other, really listening to each other. trying to be more compassionate, trying to help each other when you know that one family member is struggling emotionally. This is a difficult time for everyone. It's not easy. I think it's important to recognize that there is a problem with stigma. There's a problem with stigmatizing people with COVID, and also a problem stigmatizing people with mental health problems in general. In terms of COVID, I think, and I think the government has done a fantastic job in trying to educate the public about what is COVID and what happens when you get COVID and how do you get COVID. So I think the campaign has been really very good and very extensive. And that definitely should be kept up. And I think including more information about vaccines is also going to be very important. There's a lot of conspiracy theory, probably started in the US, but there's a lot of conspiracy theory about vaccines as well. So I think it's important for people to have accurate information. It's important to check what RBC is putting out every day about COVID. Check websites like WHO, World Health Organization. Get accurate information. And when you hear people talking about conspiracy theories or information that's not correct, try and correct people so that way we destigmatize people having COVID. Nobody asks to have COVID. It's a virus that doesn't really care who you are, and it can affect everybody. So I think we need to look at it in terms of, today I don't have COVID, but tomorrow it could be me. And would I want people talking about me or rejecting me because I have a virus that, has affected me? So. I think all of us are really tired of this situation. We want life to be back to normal. We want to socialize with each other. We want to go to work. We want to have jobs. But right now, that's not the reality of the situation. And so I think the best thing that people can do is talk about what they're feeling, if they're frustrated, if they're worried, if they have fears that they're going to lose their job or they're not going to find employment. Yes, it's not going to find you a job, but it's going to help you prevent being depressed or losing sleep. There's a new term that's being used now. It's called Coronasomnia. And normally we talk about insomnia, right? When people can't sleep. And that happens to many people for many reasons. But now they're talking about Coronasomnia related to people staying awake at night, worrying about not having money, not having jobs. So there's specific problems that people are losing sleep over. And one of the best ways to prevent mental health problems is by talking about them, staying active, doing self-care, exercising, eating healthy food, and reaching out to each other, connecting to each other. This again, this is something that is happening more frequently now in Rwanda. We're losing many more people to COVID. And I think based on the experience, being an American and watching what's happened in the US, and all of the people I know have lost somebody important. And what they tell me is that the best thing you can do is the time that you have with people is really important. Letting your family members know that you love them, sharing the time together, reaching out, being connected, because we can't predict who's going to get sick and who might die. And being able to have communication with that sick person in the hospital. You may not be allowed into the ICU, the intensive care unit, but if the nurse can give them a phone so that you can video with them, so you can say goodbye if they're, going to die, trying to be connected in ways with each other. I think that's really important. The other thing is, families are having to make hard decisions about who do you invite to funerals? And we have big families here. So there are some family members who may not attend a funeral. And how do they grieve? How do they feel like they're part of that process? So I think families communicating with each other and people realizing that this is a really hard time for everyone. I think my message is that we're all in this together. The whole world is in this together, and that I think when it ends, we'll be stronger. The other thing I would say is, this is an incredibly important opportunity for people to realize that we all can have mental health problems, that depression, anxiety, what we're experiencing now are normal reactions to an incredibly stressful time. And so it's important to be compassionate with other people who have mental health problems before COVID or after COVID.